Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Property Pros Podcast. I'm Mark Goldwich.
I'm Peter Laframboy.
We're both public insurance adjusters in Jacksonville, Florida, but we're interested in all things property. And today we've got a great guest for you. It's Stephen Furnari. He's co-owner of Ripple Coworking. Stephen, take a few minutes. Tell us about yourself and Ripple Coworking, what you guys do, and how it works.
Hey, Mark and Peter. Well, thanks so much for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate it. I like talking about coworking and Ripple in particular. So thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. So we're a coworking space located in Flagler Beach, Florida, right on the ocean. In fact, we've been watching the surf break all day. There's 4 to 6 foot bombs coming in today, so it looks like it's really fun. And what we do is we rent individual office spaces to entrepreneurs. We also do some drop-in and desk space and virtual office rentals. Our primary location right now is Flagler Beach, Florida. We are in the process of opening a second location in Daytona Beach in the downtown Beach Street area. And I'd say for anybody who's not familiar with coworking, there are really 3 core benefits to coworking that entrepreneurs just find amazing, and that's basically that it's a distraction-free workspace, right? So Mark, I know you've got a family and kids, and Peter, I'm assuming you've got a family at home, and everybody's been working at home a lot, in the last year or so. And I've got kids and dogs, the worst of the dogs, forget about the kids, right? But you're in the middle of one of these calls and all of a sudden, one dog sets off the other dog and they'll be quiet and sleeping the whole morning until you try to get on a Zoom chat. And then all of a sudden they're a gigantic disruption, right? So being able to go to a place that's quiet where you can get your work done and really concentrate is super valuable. And then the other 2 things are flexibility. You can come here on short-term, month-to-month contracts. So, and you've got the ability to rent an office. That doesn't work out, you can get a virtual office. So just got a mail address, but you keep the consistency of your business location, which for a lot of our clients becomes part of their brand. And then the last thing is sort of our X factor, which is collaboration and additional revenue. So we have a big focus of creating a culture around our clients sharing business with each other. And it ended up becoming a pretty big profit center for most of our clients.
That's interesting. That's good. So just to break it down even further, so you're like the landlord, you own the building, is that correct? And then
Yes.
You rent out the spaces to various businesses, but kind of explain how that all comes about.
Sure. So what we do is we either buy the building or we'll lease a building, right? And that's the way most co-working operators run their businesses. In this particular location, we own the dirt, we own the building, and then we build it out like any professional office space. So we create, beautiful conference rooms, a great community room with a kitchen pantry, and we provide coffee, and it's staffed with a receptionist who's there, during work days on every business day to greet guests. And then we have individual offices that, single offices, like the one I'm sitting in right now is a 9 by 10 office. And I got a lock on the door. And this is the office for my business operations. And so people rent individual offices. And what's nice is that we provide it to people furnished. So you can more or less come in with your laptop, plug into the wall, and get working within minutes. So it becomes really convenient. So I'll give you an example. So my wife and I, when we first moved to this county, we both hate working from home. So we got an office space, and then we wanted to move and be closer to beachside, closer to home. And so we were looking to lease places, and we found one place that we kind of liked, and the rent was okay, it was fair, but it needed a full build out. I mean, and we started pricing out what it cost to do partition walls for 2 offices, a conference room, and a reception area. And, and this is, 8 years ago, and the prices were like 12 grand for the 2 of us on something I don't own. And so it just became cost prohibitive. And then the landlord didn't want to provide us with a long-term lease, so they could kick us out in a year, or ultimately what happened is they would have jacked up our rents. They would have doubled it because they knew we were stuck in the space. So in this case, I've done all that hard work for the people. In other words, they don't have to go in and build the space, create the receptionist, pay for the receptionist. It's all there for them. And so they come in, we do, basically a 1 month security and 1 month's rent in advance, and you come in and start working.
It's interesting to me because I know of several places that do this, right? But they're all
Sure.
owned by big corporations. I really even haven't heard of this being done, family operation or mom and pop's type of thing.
Well, we're literally mom and pop. My wife is my partner. My partner. She's got a full-time job, but she's very much my partner in the business here. And so yeah, a lot of these businesses are owned by a bigger corporation, like a Regis, or everybody knows WeWork, right? And part of the reason is that it takes a fair amount of cash to get into these things. The upfront costs are pretty high, right? You're either buying the building and then doing the fit out, or you're leasing a space, which is equally as expensive when you start to factor in, 6 months of security deposit, and then you still have some build out expense. You'll get some TI, but you'll still have some building expense. So the upfront costs are prohibitive in some cases. So that's why there are not a lot of individual owners, but they're out there around the country. I mean, maybe not so much locally, but certainly around the country, there are plenty of us out there.
That's really interesting. I mean, somebody could see this video years from now, but currently it's September of 2022. We are coming out of COVID. What did COVID do to you when you have this joint workspace? And I know you said you do some virtual office space. How did you guys transition, or what did you do differently to help yourself continue to keep revenue coming in? And what do you see going forward in the future for the next few years or so?
In terms of Ripple coworking here in Florida, we didn't miss a beat. I would say COVID made us busier than ever. There was initially a little bit of turnover of our office rental clients that had businesses that were more affected by COVID. Like there was a lawyer in the office, and the courts shut down, and he was a litigator, and so he had no revenue coming in because he's not doing litigation. There's nothing to do, so he had to really scale back on his expenses. And so like he switched to a virtual office, and now he's coming back to and this happens a lot with their boomerang clients, right? They come back a lot, and so he's coming back to the office as soon as something becomes available. Our virtual office business grew significantly because there were a lot of people, working from home that wanted a virtual office presence. And believe it or not, the office, there were a lot of our day office and drop-in desk space business grew quite a bit because there were a lot of remote workers, both in town here and, we're beachside. So we get a fair amount of tourist traffic all year long. So there are people who are working from home in Ohio or Chicago or Minnesota that said, you know what, I'm working remotely anyway. I'm going to go to the beach for a month. And there's this co-working space that's right by the beach. And so they'll come in and work from our office, for a span of 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And we had a lot of that. I mean, we had people coming in from all those places. We had a group come in from Germany this year, and the same or similar story.
I mean, so that's good. I mean, obviously with the beach right there and all the activity, it doesn't hurt. So going forward, it's awesome. It's kind of like us. We really didn't miss a beat with COVID either. And in some ways, it helped make things easier by doing more things virtually, by doing more things by DocuSign, which is just another version of virtual. But the meetings and everything else, mediations, ended up saving us time. People were always home, and so made it easier to meet with them. So it's fortunate for you going forward. What do you see? I mean, there's talk of real estate bubble in Florida. What do you see coming forward in the next down the road, challenges wise?
Well, I mean, I agree with you that there's most certainly a bubble in the residential market. I mean, the home prices in here, Flagler Beach, they're insane. I mean, they rival some of the more expensive neighborhoods in like New York or DC. The home price is crazy. But the commercial real estate market, the office market, I haven't seen it go up at bubble rates, right? So we're bullish about it. We just purchased a 26,000 square foot building in Daytona Beach, and I think we're going to roll that out, and we have plans to expand our Flagler Beach location by 7,500 feet. So, we think with COVID in particular, on the flip side of it, us and the industry generally sees this as a really big benefit to the co-working industry, because I think it adds participants to our target market that weren't there before. So I think we're always going to have that solopreneur that needs a place to see clients, or needs to get out of their house, or doesn't want to use their home address as their business address, because who wants clients popping in at your house on a Sunday, right? But then you add in all of those, remote workers now that weren't there before, that maybe start to realize that, hey, this isn't so, I'm not that efficient working at home, and maybe I just need to get out somewhere to go meet other people, because I've been in my pajamas for the last year, right? So those are people that were not in our market space. And I think what you're going to find is employers are going to save some money by not carrying as much leased real estate for every person, and giving their employees some kind of budget as a benefit to do some co-working, to spend on co-working or co-working drop-in space, for more efficiency if they so desire, because net it's more cost effective for the employer to provide a little bit of a budget to do co-working 4 days a month than it is to pay for some kind of desk space or